Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Why Right. My name is Dr. Thomas. Today's presentation will be over the research process. Our objectives for today are to understand open-ended questions in research, to understand the importance of the research process, to understand steps in the research process, and to understand a research-supported paper versus a research-based paper. So as we're looking at the research process, we have to look at research questions. And some of the best questions are developed through open-ended questions. Open-ended questions are crucial in research because they encourage detailed, nuanced responses, providing richer insights than simply yes or no questions. They allow researchers to understand the why and the how behind opinions and behavior, leading to a more complete and contextual understanding of the subject matter. And typically with open-ended questions, you use them in qualitative research. And an example of an open-ended question here is, how do we currently define the American family? And if you're looking at this from a qualitative research standpoint, it is based on evidence of what people say or how they represent an idea. Thus, a qualitative answer to this question will rest on your ability to interview people and surveying them. And you might also cite the way movies and television shows portray families. The qualitative response to this question will produce one or more definition of family. Therefore, you would have to break down, you would have to look at the definition of family within this question. And then all of these definitions of family, they would be representing the response or responses of some group. Next, an example question would be, why do we currently have a mental health crisis in the United States? And in this example, the first thing I would tell the researcher to do is to define mental health. And when you define mental health, you will find different caveats from this, such as, is anxiety listed under mental health? Is depression listed under mental health, and so on and so forth. As I mentioned with qualitative data richness in research, it's essential for gathering descriptive data that can be analyzed for patterns and themes, as opposed to quantitative questions. Quantitative questions or answer is based on statistics. That is, how many or what proportion of instances of something there are. So a quantitative answer to the same question about the American family will take into account data about actual domestic arrangements, such as from the census data, which may lead to a scholar looking to the conclusion that what people say the family is has little in common with what one finds the family is. And this also helps to and as we look at the difference between the qualitative data richness as opposed to the quantitative data, although quantitative gives us that the statistical number, the qualitative data also helps us to avoid certain biases, and it helps us to identify reasons. As I mentioned before, it really helps the researcher to dig a little deeper and look at the why and the how, the preferences that people have, the behaviors. So paired together, qualitative and quantitative data really helps the researcher to find the true answers to their questions. It also allows for, and this is for qualitative, it allows for more flexibility and adaptability. These open-ended questions, they don't constrain participants to just those predefined answer choices that you will find in quantitative data. All right, so what is the importance of research? Or I would say, why is research important? Research is crucial because it drives progress, it fosters innovation, and it helps us understand the world around us. It helps us to expand knowledge and understanding. It uncovers new information and insights, expanding our understanding of the world. For instance, with the example of the American family, we may find from the qualitative research that the American family is not defined as what we think it is. So the qualitative research may show us something different about the American family as opposed to the quantitative when we pull some statistical data, maybe the census. Also, as we look at the importance of research, that it's a part of verifying that existing knowledge. So maybe you had knowledge of what the American family is or how it is defined right now. And once you are able to pull the research and the data, then you would be able to verify that knowledge that you have. It also helps to solve problems. It provides a systematic approach to problem solving, leading to innovative solutions in various fields. It also helps in developing new technologies, and it just improves the lives within our society overall. Advanced in healthcare, shaping social policy, promoting economic growth, and so on and so forth. Research also fosters curiosity and critical thinking. It really helps us to develop valuable skills, not just on a collegiate level, but within life. The research process, the process of researching itself can be, we may think, oh, this is going to be a lot, right? But the process of researching can be fun if you allow it to be. You want to identify and develop a topic. So this initial step involves selecting a broad area of interest and then narrowing it down to a specific research question. Let's take our example question of the mental health crisis in the United States. That's a pretty broad look when we're looking at mental health. So now it may be important to look at specific areas of mental health that you want to study. Maybe you want to look at the mental health crisis in teenagers within the United States. Or you may want to look at the mental health crisis in young adults in the United States. And then you get an opportunity to narrow it down even more if you like to do so. So as you look at identifying and developing a topic, you want to do some initial background research. And conducting literary reviews will help you to do this as well. So before diving into data collection, it's crucial to review any existing research on the topic to understand what is already known and identifying gaps in the knowledge to help refine your research question. Next, you want to develop a research design. So setting up questions, objectives, and hypotheses. So after you've looked at the literature review, you want to develop specific research questions, outline the objectives of your study, and potentially formulate hypotheses to be tested. And as we said earlier, you want to decide whether you want to use just qualitative data or quantitative data or a mix of both. Collecting the data. So this just means after you choose a research design, which involves the appropriate methodology of the study, whether it's quantitative or qualitative, as I mentioned before. So quantitative is that numerical data. Qualitative is exploring experiences and perspective. Or, like I said, a mixed method combining both. Collecting the data involves gathering the necessary information using various methods such as surveys, interviews, experiments, and or observations. Analyzing the data requires you to, I guess, use appropriate statistical or qualitative techniques to identify patterns, relationships, and trends. So this is how you would analyze the data, drawing conclusions and interpreting your findings. So here, the findings from the data analysis, they help you interpret what your research questions and objectives and existing literature, what it's saying. And then you have to figure out how you're going to disseminate the findings. So will you present this in public? Are you disseminating the findings strictly on paper for your college paper? So it's important that you look at these steps in the research process before you get started, so you will know and have some sort of idea or foundation as to which way you would like to go. All right, so I like to tell my students when I want them to write either a research supported or research based essay. So a research supported essay is a type of academic writing that uses evidence from scholarly sources to support a writer's argument or thesis statement. It's more than just presenting information. It's about analyzing and synthesizing research to develop a unique perspective or understanding of a topic. The essay, it demonstrates a deep understanding of the subject matter and the ability to critically evaluate and integrate diverse perspectives. So with the research supported, you will include your voice and your opinion on a particular subject. With the research based, it's a type of academic writing that requires you to investigate a specific topic, analyze this information, present your findings and arguments based on evidence from scholarly sources. It goes beyond personal opinions and focuses on demonstrating a deep understanding of the subject through research and analysis. So as you begin to move into the research process, you have to decide, am I strictly looking for research to support my particular opinion on a topic, or am I looking to complete some research where I can highlight, well, you started with an opinion, right? But I can highlight what I found with this, but my opinion is not really involved in it. I'm really presenting the facts and the information that I found on this particular topic. All right, at this time, if you have any questions, I would like for you to leave them in the comment section here and on YouTube, and also start a discussion. If it's not just the questions, if you don't have questions, you can start a discussion. Leave your own thoughts and opinions on this subject as well. And for more information about me and this YouTube channel, please visit, about me and this video, please visit my YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/etwright18. And thank you again for visiting my channel and listening to this video. And if you have any questions, again, leave them in the comment section.